Welcome, everyone, to the Youth Leadership Plenary of the 2025 RHY National Grantee Training. Please make your way to your seats as we welcome to the stage Regina Archie.
Good morning. Oh, no, we could do better than that. Good morning. I know it's early. Good morning. Okay, I love that. Hey, I am so excited to be here with you. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the 2025 RHY National Grantee Training. And I hope y'all are coming in with some good energy, feel refreshed and refueled by breakfast, some good coffee, and maybe even a few new connections from yesterday. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm still sitting with Dr. Bethel's fire keynote speech. And I'm curious to see how many of those gems she left us with resonate throughout our sessions today. And because I'm a word picture girly, some of you may know who've been at previous conferences, and I've shared before that Whitney Houston's Dance with Somebody is one of my favorite songs of all time. Yeah. Oh, I heard that. Yes. And that's the energy I'm bringing with me this morning. Yes. But okay, here it goes. Mine is a remix. So instead of dance with somebody, I want to connect with somebody. I want to network and collab with somebody. All right. I know y'all just getting into it. You. Thank you, because I know I'm no Whitney. So I appreciate that love. And I'll stop there. But seriously, I'm wondering what theme song is representing the energy and hopeful outcomes that you are bringing into this space with you today. Because it will be jam packed with opportunities to listen, to learn, and to dance, AKA network, or collab with somebody. And today's youth leadership plenary is one of my favorite moments of this entire week, because it reminds us of why we do this work. But especially for today, we get to sit in a space shaped by youth voice, youth vision, and youth brilliance. And I'm grateful to be here with you all for it. So before we get started, I want to give us one quick reminder. As you saw yesterday, we have a tool available if you'd like captions or translation in real time. Simply scan the code on the screen or at your tables and choose your language, and you'll be able to read or listen as needed. Now, it is truly my joy to introduce someone who brings both heart and powerful leadership everywhere she goes. That's Amia Smith. Now, Amia is a North Carolina native, now based in Baton Rouge. She is a passionate advocate for youth impacted by homelessness, foster care, and other barriers. Drawing from her own experiences, she works at Youth Oasis, whoop, whoop, supporting young people in crisis, and serves as a youth advisory board leader on both local and regional levels. She has also been a member of the National Runaway Safe Line Youth Action Board for nearly 3 years. Now, without further ado, please join me in warmly welcoming Amia to the stage to kick off the Youth Hope Month award ceremony.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Excuse me a little in advance. I definitely am a little nervous, but I'm about to work through these nerves today. I am so grateful to be presenting these awards. So my name is Amia Smith. I am a member of the National Runaway Safe Lines Youth Advisory Board, and I'm also a staff member at Youth Oasis. I just want to take this time to congratulate and thank all of the organizations that participated in Youth Hope Month and congratulate everybody on an incredibly successful campaign. Um, So I just want to start off and give a little, bit of background about the National Runaway Safe Line. So it was founded more than 50 years ago, and it's guided by its mission to keep America's runaway, homeless, and at-risk youth safe and off of the streets. To do this, the NRS provides resources, educational tools, and training opportunities focused on prevention and early intervention for young people ages up to 24, their family, and caring adults. The NRS operates the federally designated national communication systems for young people ages 12 through 21 who are experiencing crisis, have run away, or are contemplating on leaving home and are experiencing homelessness. The hotline and online crisis services are free and available 24/7. The NRS Youth Advisory Board members help to guide these programs, services, and communication strategies. Each year, the NRS supports more than 25,000 contacts through hotline, text, chat, forum, and email. 25,000 is a lot. I think we should just take a second to recognize that's 25,000 contacts. Yes. So, just to give you guys a little Youth Hope Month overview, November is Youth Homelessness Outreach Prevention and Education Month, or also known as Youth Hope Month. This is a public awareness campaign that brings attention to youth homelessness. The campaign is spearheaded by the National Runaway Safe Line with support from the Family and Youth Services Bureau and hundreds of partners just like you. Partners organize educational events and activities to implement social media campaigns, engage youth, light landmarks green, conduct media interviews, and so much more. Nearly 200 partners committed to Youth Hope Month 2025. For the first time, it was truly a national campaign. Organizations in all 50 states, plus Washington, D.C. Let's take a second. Yes. All of these organizations had implemented public awareness campaigns in support of youth experiencing homelessness, and that's very powerful. There were hundreds of events and awareness activities executed nationwide. Buildings, bridges, landmarks were lit green, the official color of Youth Hope Month, in support of homeless youth. With social media being a central communication channel for the campaign, there were hundreds of thousands of social media impressions generated in November. So many organizations secured widespread media coverage about youth homelessness, local events, and much more. And the coverage appeared in newspapers, on websites, and on TV stations and radio programs. Dozens of proclamations were issued by governors, mayors, and other elected officials that were all declaring November as Youth Hope Month or National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. So now let's get to the good part. I am honored to announce the nominees and reveal the winners of the 2025 Youth Hope Month Awards. So selecting these nominees and winners honestly was a difficult task because partners all went above and beyond to meet and exceed these campaign goals. After all of the winners have been announced, then I will invite the representatives from their agencies up on stage to accept their awards. So we're going to do it all once at the end. We're not going to do it for each award. So let's get started. The first award is the Most Influential Social Media Campaign Award. This award celebrates a powerful digital campaign that effectively raised awareness, inspired action, and expanded the reach of Youth Hope Month message online. So the nominees are Bloomhouse Youth Services, the Phoenix Youth Project Incorporated, Lifeology AZ, and Midwest Youth Services. Now, can I get a drum roll, please? And the winner is Bloomhouse Youth Services. Yes. And I'm going to invite you again at the end after I read the awards to come up and we're going to take a picture. So we're going to get through the other ones as well. So now we can go to our next award. It's going to be the Excellence in Community Engagement Award. Ooh. So the Excellent in Community Engagement Award acknowledges an organization that built strong partnerships and mobilized the community to take meaningful action towards preventing youth homelessness and supporting youth in crisis. Now let's start with the nominees again. These nominees are going to be the Advocates for Children, Detroit Phoenix Center, Oasis Center, and Project 1649. Now, y'all did such a good drum roll. I need another one. I need another drum roll. Yes. And the winner is Advocates for Children. Yes. Thank y'all so much. All righty. The Shine a Light Award. That is our next award that we have. This award is the top award that we present. It honors an organization that used a variety of tactics to raise awareness of the issues faced by youth experiencing homelessness, to educate the public about the role that they can play in preventing youth homelessness, promote critical services and resources, and lastly, to inspire hope for the future. It also recognizes a partner's creative storytelling and exceptional use of traditional media to educate audiences, amplify awareness of youth homelessness, and to inspire positive change. While all of these partners deserve recognition, yeah, we had to just select 4 nominees for this top award, but everybody deserves recognition. So these top nominees are the Boys and Girls Club of Fox Valley Home Base, Bridge Over Troubled Waters, California's Coalition for Youth, and San Diego's Youth Services. All right, I need a drum roll one last time. Okay, and the winner is Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Woo! All righty. I'd like to welcome to the stage Peter Ducharme, which is the program director for Bridge, Abby Stevens, which is the Director of Mental Health and Services for Bloomhouse. And if anyone from the Advocates for Children is here this morning, I invite you all as well to the stage to come accept your award. Y'all, let's give them another round of applause. Mhm. Thank you all so much for everything that you do. I just would like to thank again all of the organizations that participated in the 2025 Youth Hope Month campaign and congratulate y'all on your successful efforts. You truly made us young people feel seen and heard. And we look forward to seeing what you do in 2026. So now I'll hand things back to Regina and she will be kicking off the youth panel. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Oh, let me adjust myself. There we go. Okay. Thank you to our partners at NRS for for all who participated in making National Youth Hope Month a powerful opportunity to shine a light on youth homelessness, spark conversations, and take meaningful action to support youth in crisis. And thank you, Amia. I look forward to hearing more from you and your thoughts during our panel in just a moment. And as we begin our transition into our panel discussion and the powerful things that will be said by way of experiences, it makes me think back to a moment of my own why. And for this work, and how it shifted from caring to knowing. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but sometimes one picture carries 1,000 memories you didn't have the language for at that time. If you look at on the screen, you'll see one of my favorite photos. It's me and my baby girl on my college graduation day. Look at our smiles, our bright eyes, our whole faces say, we made it. Back then, I truly felt unstoppable. Now, I just want a real quick show of hands. How many of you would say I looked happy, confident, and ready to take on the world in this picture? Just a quick show of hands. Okay, all right. I appreciate that. Thank you. But here's the truth, y'all. I must have a mean poker face, a really good one, because that day was also the day I met a word without even knowing it. One that would explain my entire young adulthood: simultaneity. The reality that two opposite truths can exist in the same moment. My graduation day was one of the happiest milestones of my life, and also one of the hardest. Just 1 week before this picture was taken, a major life event had shaken my world so hard that I had already began slipping into the things that cause homelessness, slowly losing everything around me one by one, thing by thing. And as a fresh college graduate with a newborn baby in my arms, I didn't know the word simultaneity at the time, but I definitely knew exactly what it felt like. So many of us in this room carry our own whys, the story or moment that pulled us into youth work. My why was born in the in-between space, in the you're doing everything right, but everything is still falling apart spaces. I was a young adult, a brand new single mother, working a full-time job in social services, even working a part-time job on campus and going to school full-time, and quietly navigating systems that didn't see me clearly, even as I worked inside of them. On paper, I had it together: a job, a car, an apartment, and a plan. But when life hit, and it hit hard and fast, those things slipped through my fingers in what felt like all at once. Y'all know the saying, life be lifing? It was lifing. It was lifing for me back then. When I found out I was pregnant, I was scared, yes, but I was determined. I picked up an extra job, pushed through my classes, and told myself I'd figure it out. And then my baby girl arrived on my birthday, bright-eyed and right on her due date. And I know, you don't have to say it. I'll say it for you because the audacity. How dare you come on my birthday, my day, on your due date? But you know, kids don't come on their due date, but she did. But I love it now. I love it now. That's my little twin. And all jokes aside, I was super focused and super focused on reaching a goal. Newborn baby and all. And 3 weeks later, I walked across that graduation stage. And then simultaneity hit me like a ton of bricks. On one of the best days of my life, overlapping with one of the hardest seasons I had ever lived through, what I didn't know then, but what I know now, is losing everything is what actually saved me. 1 week before graduation, everything changed. The kind of life event that knocks the air out of you, the kind that pushes people, far more people than we even admit, into crisis. I once heard someone say, most people are just one major life event and a paycheck or two away from experiencing some form of homelessness. What redirects the outcome is relationships. That hit me hard because it was true for me. When life was lifing, it wasn't a system that caught me. It was relationships, imperfect ones, complicated ones, but real ones. They were my driftwood in the middle of the ocean that floated right by on time. When I was treading water, exhausted, those relationships floated by and gave me something to hold on to. A couch to sleep on, a moment to breathe, a chance to think, okay, now what? Without that, I don't know how long I would have stayed underwater. And when relationships are strong, driftwood appears. But when relationships are broken or non existent, young people are left treading water with little to nothing to hold on to, eventually succumbing to their conditions by way of exhaustion from navigating it alone. Many of those experiences in that season of my life gave me education no classroom ever could. It taught me two things. One, first, never other or single story young people, because so many of their realities aren't farly separated from our own. And some of us have lived the very same things, just with different packaging, different timing, or different levels of visibility or relationships. And two, secondly, capability and struggle can live in the same body at the same time. I was resourceful and struggling, hopeful and exhausted, strong and still falling apart. So, and so are many youth and young adults we serve. And third, lastly, there's a difference between giving a young person a resource and walking beside them while they navigate it. Both matter, but one changes outcomes. And I learned something else too. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is a bridge. Working inside the very systems I was struggling to navigate myself taught me that providers often separate our own truths from the truths of young people. Not because we don't care, but because sometimes it's easier to believe their stories is different from our own. But when we lean into honesty and humanity, something shifts. The relationship shifts, the truth shifts, and the work becomes more real, more grounded, and more possible. Which brings us to this moment. So today, you will hear from young people and young youth and young adults who carry brilliance, resilience, and knowledge that deserves to shape the very systems built to serve them. Their stories are not other. Their insights are not auxiliary. They are central and powerful and necessary. It is my honor to welcome the voices who are not just the future of this work, but the right now of this work. And as you listen, I want to invite you to hear not just the words, but the courage it takes to speak them. Let their stories influence the way you design, collaborate, and lead. Let them challenge and let them challenge old assumptions and spark new possibilities. Because when we honor youth leadership, and I mean truly honor it, we don't just strengthen programs, we strengthen people. And I can only speak for younger Regina in this photo. But if I had known then what I know now, had I led then with the intentionality and the vulnerability I do now, or had a stronger relationships that led to more solid and sustainable resources, maybe my time couch surfing with my baby wouldn't have been as long and it could have been cut in half. And with that, it is my absolute honor to introduce young leaders who will guide us through this next conversation. And as I read each bio, I'm going to invite our panelists to join us here on the stage. And since you've already been introduced to the fabulous Amia, I'm going to welcome our first panelist back to the stage. Amia. Next, I would like to welcome Zam Zam to the stage. Zam Zam, Zamzam graduated from high school in 2025 with a strong interest in pursuing a career in social work, specifically to support youth who have been part of the system just like her. She is deeply motivated by a desire to make meaningful differences in the lives of young people. Zamzam's passion for working with children began through her employment at Hennepin County Libraries, when she gained valuable experiences and developed a deeper understanding of the importance of support and guidance in a child's life. Now, let's give a warm welcome as Jada joins the stage. So Jada has been working in nonprofit and advocacy since age 14. She is a continuum of care planning specialist with the Homeless Services Network and an active member of the Lived Experience Council of Central Florida. Jada is a certified recovery peer specialist and pursuing a bachelor's in communication and conflict to support and empower others as they pursue stability and navigate life's challenges. Okay, so I'm excited to introduce you to our next panelist, Bejewel. Bejewel is a student at SUNY Old Westbury who will be graduating in May of 2026 in her program of public health. She experienced homelessness as a youth and now gives back to her community that once served her. Bejewel works as a residential counselor for FCA Nassau, Haven, and Walkabout, serving as an advocate and mentor to new youth. Bejewel currently has over 4 years of experience in the healthcare field and utilizes her knowledge to provide support and education for the current youth that she supports there. Okay, now, if you were here last year, this is a face you might remember. He brought the heat in the form of fashion, sharing with us his artistic gifts. Garrett, please join us on the stage. Garrett Mason III is a multidisciplinary artist, advocate, and storyteller who transforms his experiences into movements of change. As an international youth homelessness prevention expert, fashion designer, and performer, he blends creativity with strategy to build futures rooted in love and imagination. From ballroom floors to policy tables, Garrett amplifies youth power, weaving community, art, and leadership into a vibrant tapestry of possibility. And now, it is my honor to welcome to the stage my co-moderator, Michaela Dawkins. Michaela is a resilient youth leader whose journey through the foster care system has shaped her into a passionate advocate for systems change. Entering care at 14, Michaela faced faced two placements across different homes. These experiences taught her how to adapt quickly, advocate for herself, and push for change in spaces where her voice wasn't always heard. Despite these challenges, Michaela stayed focused on her education and personal growth. She graduated from the University of Connecticut's 4+1 program while working and mentoring other vulnerable youth. Her work includes partnering with organizations like Youth Collaboratory, Mentor, and local advocacy boards, where she shares her story to improve child welfare policy for youth in care. Now, holding a master's degree in public health, Michaela continues to advocate for foster youth while working at Bright Beginnings Incorporated. Her long-term goal is to influence child welfare reform and to launch a nonprofit focusing on mentorship, trauma-informed healing, and leadership development. And now, before we get started, I want to invite us to finger snap, fan and wave the air, fist pump, or let your body respond to, in whatever way it does, to the knowledge that will be shared directly from our youth and young adult panelists today. We know that coming on the stage in front of such a large crowd is not easy. So let's take a quick second to hype them up before we jump in. So let's get a good hand clap going on my beat. Okay, yep, hype them up. Hype them up, y'all. Let's hype them up. Woo! All right. Thank you. And okay, now that we warmed them up, Michaela, I'm going to pass it to you to get us started.
All right. Thank you, Regina, for those opening remarks. All right. So we know that there are extraordinary adults that have supported us on our journey. So I would love for us to tell us a little bit about these adults and the supports they provided us. I'll start. I feel like adults that were extraordinary for me, too, and importantly, were Miss Argo and Miss Thomas, my biology teacher. They were there for a very significant time. I remember it was 2 months after I started high school. And I had lost my parent. And that was a very transformative time. You know, you're transitioning from 8th grade, high school is scary, and they were there and they saved me. They helped me get to college. They didn't give up on me. There were other teachers and mentors and a village and program staff that really offered encouragement and gave me the room to grow and the space to break down and fall apart. But they didn't try to fix me on that journey. They instead just really walked with me. And they helped me learn to self-advocate for myself along the journey of adulthood. And then they made me feel seen, heard, and then they also really just made me feel valued along the process. So I would love to pass it to Zamzam to hear about your experience.
Thank you. The adults who meant the most to me weren't the ones with the longest titles or the longest resumes or like the most amount of years of experience. They were the ones who showed up to me as the most authentic and genuinely wanted to connect with me. And after going through placement to placement and different places, I've started to notice a pattern, and maybe other youth can say they've noticed a pattern too, where most adults won't talk to you. Well, they'll talk to you the way the system trained them to. They won't talk to you like a real person should. They It just kind of seems computer coded sometimes, and you start to feel like an actual case number rather than a person. And the ones who actually did help me, they spoke to me, not at me. They listened without flipping through the case numbers in their head. They treated me more than a youth. They treated me like Zamzam, somebody with an actual story, not a storyline. That's important.
Thank you. I really appreciate that perspective. I love that you had those adults that treated you in a very humanistic way and that they see you beyond your system involvement. So thank you for sharing. Amia, I would love to hear about your experience.
Yes. So when I take the time to think about the adults that truly have like made a difference in my life, it kind of takes me back to a slightly, dark time when I was just going through experiencing homelessness. I ended up at a behavioral health center and I met a man in there named Mr. A, and I would always just be looking so sad, in the corner, just like I'm ready to go, I'm ready to get out. I really, wasn't trying to do much for myself. But he looked at me and he told me, you're not supposed to be here. Like I can tell that you're not supposed to be here. And he actually was the reason why I moved to Baton Rouge because I was debating between Baton Rouge or New Orleans. But he just took time to see me and to see me beyond like Zamzam, like you were saying, he doesn't see me as a case person. He sees me as a Mia. That's who he was seeing me as. And, after I moved to Baton Rouge, I knew it was the best decision I could have made because I ended up, I was still struggling with homelessness, staying in hotels and things, but I actually got my current job, Youth Oasis. I got them as a resource when I called the National Runaway Safe Line, and they said, hey, we can help you out. So I went up there to them, let them know, what was going on. I let them know I was in an unfavorable situation, and I had another woman named Miss Jamie, who is my old supervisor, and she just took me in. She took me in for everything that I said, and she appreciated me, and she said, look, quit your job today, and you can start working with us. And I've been with them ever since. So yeah, those are the adults that made a difference in my life. Thank you.
Yes. Amia, that's so inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story about taking a leap of faith. And I'm so, it warms my heart that you had that support along that journey. And then Garrett, I would love for you to close us out with this question.
Yeah, thank you so much for all that you have shared, and thank you for inviting me to answer this. Throughout my life, I have experienced so many different extraordinary people, and in this moment, someone that immediately comes to mind was my high school dance teacher. Growing up for me, especially when I was younger, home space for me was extremely traumatic. So I felt like my safest space at that time was school. That was a place where I was learning who I was at a very young age, while also being very creative and constructing who I was becoming in real time. And with my dance teacher, she really stepped beyond her role as just a teacher and really poured into me in my life to the point where it's like I still talk to her today. I went to school with her children after high school to college, and she just made me believe in myself, but also connected the thread between finding art as a space to heal my trauma and understand myself, but also it's something that we can share in community. So she's just led me with so many gems that I still pour in. So big shout out to her, but it always is, just community going beyond
That village.
that village.
Oh, I love that. Thank y'all. I love these responses and you all sharing how extraordinary adults have shown up in your life. And it makes me think about our next question and thinking about after a time leaving a program, what kind of support makes the biggest difference? And Bijul, I'd love for you to kick us off with answering this question.
Thank you for passing on this question to me. I always highly emphasize and highly believe in the service of aftercare, community, and continued opportunity for our youth. Something that needs to be taken into consideration is that many of our RHY youth don't have external support, such as family members to lean back on when times are getting tough, whether it's for financial assistance, housing assistance, assistance with continued education. And that's why I really love the programs that I went through at Family and Children Association, because they have an open door policy that has allowed continued community and support with former youths. We allow them to come back to events. We allow the friendships to flourish with their former peers at our programs. And it's just really a nice sense of community and support. And I just really do believe in aftercare. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bijul. And that transition period is often where gaps really can show up. And so, Garrett, I'm very curious, what support felt grounding for you after leaving?
I'm still on community. I think even in what you shared earlier in your experience of how you said community literally saved you, I share that same experience in mine. Earlier this year, first got my first real big boy job as a life coach in Atlanta. I'm like, oh, I'm stable now. I got me a new apartment, my first apartment by myself with not having a million roommates. And I just felt like, oh, I'm finally getting to that next space. And then just with a lot of changes in the world happening, fundings were cut and I got released. And I'm like, dang, right back to survival mode that quick. And the only reason I was able to sustain and even be in this space now is because of community. Think about it. Last year, I was connected with the Right Tech, and now I'm here again because of community. So it just speaks to how after programs, the best thing we could do is continue to show up, meet people where they're at, and pour into what they want and what they need in their dreams.
Yes, that's a mic drop. Thank you, Garrett. Amia, I'd love to hear from you of your perspective.
Thank you, Regina, for inviting me to answer the question as well. And I do want to just echo a little bit of what my peers were saying. I'm a heavy, firm believer on that community, is important. Also, Bejeweled, like you were saying with aftercare, I believe that aftercare is like one of the most important things. You have to continue that connection with the youth after they leave your program, because a lot of times, like we said, youth don't have family. Like, you become the family that a youth has. And although it may not be your full responsibility, morally, it may, it feels good, to still have that connection. But I also think that we could do a good job, a better job at connecting these youth with resources after they leave these programs. Connect them with local food banks, collect them with local churches, make sure they know the 1-800 runaway number. So if they're ever experiencing homelessness, then they know who to call, they know where to go. Um, and also too, like now that I'm thinking about it, connect them with rental assistance programs as well, because even just because they age out of your program doesn't mean that they age out of all programs. So you should just try to find a way to help them all around. Thank you.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. I appreciate your perspective. Jada, I'd love to hear from you and yours.
Y'all, if you see me yawn a few times, I clearly was so excited to get here today that I didn't get sleep last night. So, you know, again, to kind of echo what my peers said just about community and making sure you set youth up with solid aftercare, right? Um, you mentioned churches, even Amia, right? Like a lot of people don't know that churches have benevolence funds, like that people can get connected with that have helped me. Like I don't know about anybody else in this room, but I've gotten so much help from my local church community. I would say support that builds long-term stability and independence. Again, on the tip of resources. That are like long term, like that build long-term stability. I would just say like financial and credit coaching, right? To like address damage credit or debt evictions. Also like wealth building pathways, right? Like home buyer education, small business coaching, even small business loans, right? You never know what entrepreneurs you may connect with. Guidance on how to set up an LLC, things like that, of course, can come with risk, right? But that's what the education's for. And I think we focus so much sometimes on like, oh my God, get them in an apartment, make sure they have somewhere to go, not even considering the fact that like people could work towards owning a home one day. So just connecting them with those resources, I feel like is huge because maybe if right now they're not ready, they can start educating themselves now to eventually put the pedal to the metal. I will also say expungement services, right, to remove legal barriers that were tied to maybe their survival circumstances. Some people were in situations that they didn't even plan for, and they're not able to get a job because of their record. And you could connect them with those services that could help in getting them employment. And even like community networks and mentorship, just again to echo that community piece. Like I would not be here right now if it wasn't for my mentors and people who just believed in me as well. So just like maybe you're not the fit, right? But like you maybe could connect somebody with that youth who is like, oh my God, you would love this person, that like really makes a change in their life. I'd say to wrap it up, the biggest impact comes from supports that help youth rebuild and stabilize and like be able to like dream, right? Like to see a future for themselves past what their situation is. And yeah, that's what I'd say is great helps to make a big difference after leaving a program.
All right. Thank you so much for touching on the topic of support. With continuing that, I would love to get into what does proactive support from staff look like to prevent youth from going into crisis? And Bijul, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Michaela. I highly believe that it's important for our RHY staff to have the awareness to pick up on signs that a youth may enter a crisis and having the capability to hold a safe space compassionately and without judgment in order to make sure that youth feel safe and respected. And I also believe it's important for as providers that we are able to help de-escalate a crisis moment as well while offering more in-depth support through the right channels. I know many of us in this field have like really big hearts and we want to do as much as we can, but some things might need a little bit more time and a little bit more expertise, and that's all right. We just need to have the right resources available and we can still be right there along the way to support them through it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And Bijul, I know with our public health background, the way that I was thinking of responding to this question is prevention before intervention, preventing that crisis before. So that may look like having regular check-ins. I'm big on that open door policy, having that open communication and dialogue so that youth feel comfortable going before they're at their wits' end to speak to an adult or a peer and say like, I'm not okay, I need help. It also looks like not waiting until the last minute and using the worst case scenario or emergency preparedness plan. So, yeah, I think that we captured this question and then we'll move forward. Okay. Yeah. So, continuing, to create programs to meet youth where they are, getting those boots on the ground, we need to take a closer look at the barriers they may encounter. So, with this question, we're focusing on if we could design a program from the ground up, how would you make outreach, prevention, and aftercare feel like one continuous journey instead of separate steps? And what would it look like for a young person to walk through it? And Zim Zim, I'll start with you.
If I could build a program I would build a program that sees the youth before any policies and truly try to understand them and meet them by their, I guess, definition of what support looks like. And I feel like many of these systems or programs enter our spaces or approach us with preset rules, or I would say more like it feels like a game at times because it's like, okay, these are the rules, complete the level, check off the boxes, this and this and that. And when support feels that rehearsed, it doesn't feel like support anymore. It feels like you're being managed. And my program wouldn't feel like programming. It would feel like guidance and a road that bends with you, not against you. And every young person would get support around their story, not by these policies or this is what regulations I need to follow to help you. But yeah, I would build a program that truly is fit for a young person.
Yeah. Yes, I love that you said that. Yes. I love that you said that. It's important for programs to be very restorative because, like you said, when you become managed, it begins to feel more punitive. And I can send a person who's already in stress into more stress. And that's not restorative for the person that's not helping a person. So thank you so much. Garrett, I would love to hear your thoughts about this question.
Yeah, I really believe that Zam hit some really good points. So thank you for really setting the stage for that. And I think if I'm able to dream on this, big principles of this circular journey would be relationship, presence, intention, but also too just really being flexible. I think that that's really important. Meeting young people where they're at. And I think that even when you think about outreach, where are they physically at? Be there, be consistent, be present, show up with them, not just in the lens of work, but through the lens of life. Pour into them, connect with them, but also too, I think that thread of flexibility is so important because just because you meet me at this stage in my life where I'm at 70% and we work to get me to 100, a week later from now, I could be back down to 30. So it's like, how can we reassess? How can we resource? And then how can we get to the next stage? So I just feel like it will constantly just be that check and connection. I love how you said the open door policy just has to always be that constant flow of like, hey, where we at? Where we want to go? Okay, where we at? Where we want to go? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. It's definitely that ebb and flow. And yes, meeting young people where they're at in that real time is everything. So thank you for echoing that. Um, I'm gonna kick us off with our next question. And Bijou, I'd love for you to start us off. What assumptions do service providers often make about what stability or even success looks like for youth experiencing homelessness? And how has your experience challenged what's reshaped those ideas?
So, unfortunately, I feel like one of the biggest assumptions that is out there in this field is that mistakes cannot happen or that mishaps are indicator for automatic failure. Stability is not always linear, and re-experiencing homelessness, financial strain, or other detriments can happen to anyone regardless of their previous experiences. It's okay to just start over. We can always pick up where we left off. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yes. Mic drop. Thank you. Amia, I'm super curious to hear your perspective on this question.
Thank you. Thank you so much to be Joel for leading us off on this question too. But I feel like stability and success is not a one size fits all hat. Like I feel like a lot of providers, like you have this idea of what's being stable and what being successful is, and it doesn't look like the same thing for everybody. Like in my situation, I feel like my progress can be very messy, but it's still meaningful at the same time. I had my babies before I got to finish college, but I also have always had a desire to have a family, and I've always been missing the family love that, I feel like I never got, growing up. in my opinion, I'm very successful. I have handsome children. I pour so much love and so much care into them, and I'm going back to college. I'm finishing. I just wasn't in the right space before to be able to finish. So just because my story, isn't I didn't finish college and then have kids, and that doesn't make me any less successful than anybody else. I'm, being able to sit in the same space as people who have went to college and then chose to do that afterwards. So, thank you.
Okay.
Mic drop, mic drop, mic drop. I love that. Yes, your perception is your reality, and that's true. It is no cookie cutter, one size fit all situation of what success looks like. Thank you. Garrett, bring us home with your perspective on this question.
Oops, sorry about that. I think first I have to disrupt immediately because the word assumptions just does not feel right. Like I think if you're assuming anything, wrong, try again. Like let's be real, let's be in relation again, and let's know what's really going on because my view of success is incredibly different from yours, and also too I think we have to recognize that there's multiple co-occurring systems happening at the same time. So yes, we stabilize the housing, but what about my mental health? What about my sexual health? What about what goes beyond that? And again, a lot of times I'm sure a lot of us in this room offer these things, but even as I'm helping young people, I have to remind them, hey, maybe just try it once. If you don't like it afterwards, you don't have to do it again. But if you have never had access to this opportunity, how do you know how it will pour into you or how it could impact the trajectory of your journey? So again, I think that it's just all about being connected, being intentional, but being in relation because that will set the tone for what success looks like for you both.
Yes, yes. I love that. Wrong. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's gonna roll us into our next question. Um, and Amia, I'd love to hear from you first. When you think about a healthy outcome, what does that look like in your life?
So I really like this question. I feel like this, kind of relates a little bit to like the stability and success thing that I was talking about. Because a healthy outcome is determined by your goals. For me, being a domestic violence survivor, surviving homelessness, and having to go through that for a couple of years, I, was struggling with stable housing and trying to be a college student. A healthy outcome for me is providing and being able to, have that loving, family and being able to go finish school and, just being around my family, some people don't prioritize family, so family might not be, a healthy outcome for them. But I honestly feel like since I'm breaking generational curses, I'm teaching my boys how to love, how to care for women, how to truly, so my boys will never feel like they have to, put their hands on another woman. Just doing that, actually being able to change the world through like my story, like that's a healthy outcome for me. So
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, absolutely. And Jada, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this question.
Yeah, I would just say a healthy outcome for me would just look like, to kind of piggyback off the first points that I made, is just like feeling supported, like no matter where you are in your life. Like not even just support from another person, but like being equipped, like whether that is with like resources or just like tools or information, just things that you could reference back to, because like there will be good days, there will be bad days. So, someone could be doing all right, even like when they are discharged, right, from a program. But then like all hell breaks loose. Things hit the fan because they had car trouble and now they have to replace an engine. Like I've literally had that happen to me before with my transmission. Long story, y'all. But yeah, healthy outcomes. I would just say it comes with like learning to be resourceful and like even like that resilience, right? Like not like allowing the world to, give you this behind the kiss and then just like, okay, I just give up, right? Like actually like being empowered to then face that challenge and be like, okay, what is my next step? You know what I'm saying? Or who can I call? Or so I don't crash out right now, what are my coping skills? Like, how am I gonna keep my head together? I would just say healthy outcome in short, is like just having the tools, being equipped with the knowledge, and then we say it all the time, right? Like, having the confidence to thrive and like not just be in survival mode, right? Like, you know, getting over that hump. So definitely what it looks like for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Jada. And one thing I really love that you said is just, how you kind of take it. Because sometimes when those outcomes, you think like futuristic wise, like it looks like a mountain, right? But I love how you described it, like taking it bit by bit, where it feels actually attainable and it's digestible, and and then you over time get there. So I love your perspective and the way that you've explained how it's a journey for you. Garrett, I'd love to hear your perspective on this question.
Thank you for inviting me to add to the conversation. For me, I see healthy outcomes. First and foremost, I have to gauge alignment. I connect healthy with alignment. Is this where I want to go? So I can gauge that alignment by, is this helpful or is this harmful? So walk with me for a second. This morning, I get up, I grab my Chick-fil-A breakfast. Now, am I nourished? Am I ready for the day with energy? Yes, healthy outcome. Now, my accountability angel on my shoulder may be saying that's not right for the summer body that I'm working on. But again, it's in alignment with what I need for right now. And I'm able to, make micro level and macro level decisions on what a healthy outcome looks like for me. So I say that all to say that, it really is all about balance. And it's about weighing how this could impact the now, but for what's to come.
So good.
Thank you, Garrett. Zam Zam, can you share your thoughts on this question?
Yes, thank you. To me, a healthy outcome is when your life doesn't feel like you're constantly rebuilding it, and when stability isn't just a moment, um, and when it's a pattern, um, and when you're not bracing the next move of like your next crisis or the next adult you're going to rotate from. A healthy outcome to me is when your future finally has your own handwriting on it, and um, I feel like to maybe help youth meet, I guess, their expectations or whatever expectations you have of a healthy outcome is to like to piggyback off of what some of my peers said, is to have resources, is to offer ones that are going to sustain them. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I got excited because I skipped question 6. So I'm sorry, but I love that question. And so I am going to flip it back and reverse it. Um, and we are going to ask question 6 because I think that this is a really good question that I love to elevate here. And Amia, I will have you start us off. What makes a young person feel emotionally safe enough to ask for help? And what kind of things breaks that sense of safety?
Thank you for letting me lead with that question. This question really resonates with me too because it makes me think back to when I was experiencing homelessness, and what made me open up to everybody to be able to, to let them know what I had going on. But it was that genuine personal connection that an individual had with me. Like again, Zam Zam was saying earlier, they see you beyond being just a case number. They see you as a person because I am a person. I'm a person with real trauma, with real life issues, going on, and you could have been in my same shoes. We were just born differently. I also feel like that you need to understand that youth don't have, family support. You really have to understand our trauma. It's enough to say, oh yeah, she was homeless, for 3 years. She didn't really have, much going on, but why? Why was she homeless? Why? What was her relationship like with her family? What did they do? Or why does she feel like she can't be safe over there? You know? So just a little food for thought. I also feel like the safety tends to be broken when you start to feel like you're just there for a paycheck. You know, yes, you have your days where you might not feel like going into work, you know, I get it, but also too the career that you have when you're dealing with people, you have to understand that people feel people. People feel your emotions. If you're aggravated, if you really don't want to be here, I can feel that. And that might be the day that I'm actually thinking about opening up to you, but you're so aggravated and you're not in the right headspace, so I can't, you know? Yeah, that's just all I had. So thank you.
Thank you. That's real. That is so real. You know, emotional safety is something we talk about, but young people are really defining it and for what that feels and looks like for them. Um, Jewel, I would love to hear from you. What helped you feel safe or not when you needed support?
I agree with everything that Amia has said so far, and I also just want to add in that it's important that we're creating a space that leaves room for youth to come to for support to staff, making them feel like they don't have to open up or accept help right away, but that they know it's there when the time comes. I know that in my experience, when I was going through my situations, I probably wouldn't have been able to be as successful as I am right now and today in this moment if the social workers, the counselors, and the staff at my RHA program may have come on too strongly. Everyone has different personalities. Everyone has, as Amy has said, different traumas. So we react differently to different scenarios. And something that would break that sense of safety, in my opinion, would be attempting to push too hard for the youth to accept help. And that can help end up developing mistrust with them and not allowing them to be the leader in their own path to safety and success. Thank you.
Yeah, that's real. Thank you. Different comfort levels for sure. Thank you for highlighting that. And Garrett, I'd love for you to, no, I'm sorry, Jada. I'd love for you to wrap us up with this question on your perspective on safety, what feels safe or what didn't.
I think what really helps is like making it easy on ourselves and just like asking what like how can I help you or like what do you need in this moment. I feel like we can do so much overthinking on like, oh my gosh, how can I help this person when like they may not open up to you the first time, but I think just like offering that like, hey, I genuinely am curious, like I would like to know how I can be of support, even if it's just an ear, right? Like even if it's just like, hey, I'm here to listen, or if you just want to sit, right? Like and just be a person for a second, like just like being there to just sit with them. I would also say like it being non-judgmental, right? And like where a youth doesn't feel like they're being criticized or blamed, but more so where um they're being approached in a way where you're like, okay, like let's find a solution, right? Like being solution based, I feel like is helpful. And yeah, also I would say like when advice is offered, in like more of a spirit of collaboration, and like, hey, would you like some advice on how you can help this instead of like maybe offering it up, just because I feel like some youth can even just feel shame like about their situation, and then if you make mean well, but then it's coming off like, oh, this person is like looking down on me or what have you. And just kind of like avoiding that fix it energy, right? Like just like remembering that youth have autonomy and like we feel more empowered to take ownership of our problems or like issues that we're having when people are encouraging us in that. So I would just say that's super helpful. um and things like that just aren't helpful is just like again like maybe just giving advice or like when a youth feels like they're being talked over or judged or just like in general misunderstood. And I don't doubt everybody in this room has some kind of experience with something along those lines, whether that's with clients or with your own kids. So yeah, that is my answer.
All right. Thank you, Jada. So now we're going to go into health barriers. So, what makes it hard for youth and young adults to access physical and mental health care? And what could programs do differently to create more open access to health care? And Bejewel, I'll start with you.
Thank you for that question. I have a couple of different thoughts in regards to this question, starting with mental health. I really believe that's important that we're continuing to break down stigma, especially because many of our youth are coming from communities where mental health is not really accepted or understood. So I believe it's important that we're continuing to do the trainings, continuing to do the support and education in regards to mental health. And then in addition to that, I believe it's important that we are offering different forms of mental health services. Usually there's only one type of mental health service that's offered, which is like individual therapy, but I feel as though youth would be more open to accepting mental health services if we offer different varieties such as group therapy, art therapy, music therapy, and other types of therapies that exist. I believe it would be very beneficial in leading them to be more open to that. And then also many of our youth are youth who are of immigrant backgrounds, and I feel that they also experience some barriers and that they need extra legal resources and support, especially when it comes to paying for lawyers. I think that would be a great help to those youths in those situations. And then lastly, I believe it's important to work with you to build the skills and knowledge when it comes to applying for insurances, finding a network of providers, and especially finding a network of providers that truly serves the youth and knowing that the youth know how to advocate for the healthcare rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for hitting on health insurance, because when I had to go shop for my own health insurance, like, I'm used to shopping for shoes and online stuff, but I don't know PPO, HMO, all those acronyms. I don't know about all that. So yes, but some other barriers definitely I've experienced have been like long wait times. I got to leave out of work, go on my lunch break, go to the appointment, come back, do the telehealth in my car on my lunch break. Stigma, because some providers haven't encountered like certain cultural experiences or different things that I went through during my experience with trauma. So they're like, why is your blood pressure so high? You're 14. I'm like, I went through traumatic experiences. I have sleep trauma. Like, there's just certain things that I went through, genetics. So having to break that down and then re-traumatizing myself has been something I've experienced. Transportation, having to travel all around Maryland in the traffic on 295 to get to my appointments from Forestville to Laurel. That's been something I've encountered. And then also, some worries that I'll be judged. So definitely as providers, it's important to build capacity and create capacity to have an open mind, Kira, like you were saying. And then also something really helpful that my job and then also the Independent Living Center that I've been housed in has done is bringing the providers to us. So there is an on-site medical doctor and also barber and hairstylist that comes in to serve us once a week, trying to build more capacity, but they serve us on site. And then something else that's super special is my therapist is right around the corner. So sometimes when I'm having a rough morning, I'm grumpy, she sees me and gives me those warm affirmations, and I'm able to see her right before I go off to work. So I'm being sent off in a holistic and healthy way. Lastly, the medical jargon, like somebody told me you have pseudotumor cerebri, which just basically means pressure behind the eyes. I don't know what that means. Help us break it down so that someone at the third grade or even someone at the master's candidate level can understand that as well. Garrett, I want to pass it to you to hear your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we could definitely clap it up for both of them because I think I may be looking at my notes. So I mean, I'll just elevate. I say immediately stigma. Growing up where I was, it was not a thing. Like I always would hear, boys don't cry, toughen up, or things like that. And just as a young person growing and being impacted by that type of idea, I'm thinking in my life now, okay, well, maybe I don't need to cry. Maybe I don't need to pay attention to my emotions or pour into my mental or physical health. So then how does that produce later on in the cycles and patterns in my life? So I think that is sometimes the biggest thing when it comes to accessing these programs. You think, well, that just was never the space that I was brought up in. And then also too is access, whether that's transportation, whether that's access to insurance, whether that's even access to information, because sometimes you don't even know all that is really available to you. And I would say another thing too is the sensationalization of poor mental and physical health. I see, especially in media, how we see these people that we elevate as celebrities or just our own icons. You see them like maybe crashing out or doing something crazy. You're like, oh, like, that is I enjoy that. And then how do you kind of take that energy back into your life? Or how does it impact, our younger people who see that and they're like, oh, maybe this is the way to live or respond or act. So I think that those are some major barriers as well as the ones that you all add. But I think how could we do things differently? Make it more accessible, make it more centralized, make it more of a thing that we all should participate in. Because I think everybody in the room, no matter where you are at your journey, even if you are the most happiest person, you should maybe talk to a therapist and talk about it. Why not? Why not? So I just say I think it should be more of a continuous, connected conversation. I don't think it needs to be when I'm feeling sad. I think it needs to be when you're happy too, because there's still things to discover at every stage.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes. And then with the mental health part, what about the physical health? Invite me to a group exercise because I don't like exercising by myself. I need that encouragement. So invite me exercise. But then yeah, Jada, I would love for you to close us out with this question. I want to hear your thoughts about health barriers.
Yeah, if you remember anything from me today, it's just that like we don't want to give y'all extra job responsibilities. I think the biggest thing of us being up here is like to help try and make everybody's job easier. And what I'd say like is like you may be feeling like scrambling, like, oh my God, I need to find this youth something. But sometimes it may just be right in your face, right? Because you could do something like connecting a youth with jobs that have a benefits package, right? Like maybe it's not as in the job market, a little crazy these days, but like sometimes we got to get a little creative, right? Even like integrating maybe healthcare navigation into case management. We know about various, I'm not going to plug any insurances out here, but there are like various sliding scale care options, things like that people think to themselves before looking at the options like, oh my gosh, this is going to be super expensive, but not considering the fact that they may qualify for things that are out there. um and yeah, I would just say like youth need support walking through the process, right? Like not just being referred to it. So like what may seem like, oh my God, like this is not rocket science. This is as simple as just go and fill out the application. Like you never know if someone has dyslexia or they, you know what I'm saying? They're just not retaining the information how one would presume they should. Again, just kind of like going that extra step. And if you don't know, like even like playing on your strengths, right? Like being good stewards of our gifts and talents. Like you may know someone out there that could be of support and to be a connection that is made. So I would just, yeah, definitely say that a lot of youth are afraid of debt and like tacking on more medical bills, things like that. They already have stuff on their records. So like, your health may not be the first thing that you think of, but you know, like that's your body. Like you need that to get to the end of the road, right?
Health as
yeah,
well.
thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Phew, y'all are dropping some gems in here. I hope y'all are like not feeling weighed down by all of these gems that's been dropped. Okay, I'm gonna roll us into our next question. Oh, yep, our final question. And so in closing, y'all, because I appreciate all of the things that y'all have said, I'd love for you to share a word, a quote, or a small jewel that you would like to say that is most important, the most important thing that you want people in the audience today to think about when they go back to their programs and working with young people. And I'm just gonna let it flow down the line. We'll start with you, Amia.
Okay, I would love to start. I just would say connect with us before you try to help us. Understand that every youth has different trauma and our traumas are not all the same.
Stability starts with being seen, not being controlled. Please be mindful of the youth in front of you.
I would say focus on empowering youth, provide them with pathways to income, entrepreneurship, and employability, and that knowledge is power. So lack of information limits futures.
To listen to the youth, observe, and support them, not just for the current moment, but also to be a pillar for youth to come back to.
Starting with yourself and the youth that you serve, start with love and intention, move with bravery and grace, and end with gratitude and joy.
Youth are the experts of our own lives. Trust us and create safe environments for us to be honest. Real impact comes with treating youth with dignity, consistency, and partnership.
Woo! Hey. Woo. You hear me? Hey, hey. All right. Okay. All right, y'all. Whew, let's take a breath because that was powerful. That was really powerful. Now, let's one more time, y'all. Show some love to the panelists for delivering such a rich conversation. Yes. Yes. Go ahead and stand up, y'all. Go, yeah, take a bow. Why not? Yeah.
So we're actually gonna ask that you all take a selfie with us. So yeah, put your best smiles on.
All right, make sure y'all striking those poses. And don't go anywhere because we got more. Thank you all. How about one last round of applause for our Youth and Young Adult panelists? That was straight fire. Yes. All right. So I hope you feel inspired, especially now more than ever, to make meaningful connections that lead you to think differently, partner more strategically, and listen to young people more intentionally. And yeah, thank you again to our panelists for your honesty, clarity, and leadership. And because we hold true youth leadership, collaboration, and connection at a high regard, I want to sweeten the experience just a little bit. And we have some badges that we will be sharing with you all if you are in celebrating youth and young leadership collaboration with young people, with partners and thought partners across the room. Um, So the youth and young adult panelists, as well as staff, and these awesome ribbons and badges that we will be sharing with you throughout the remainder of the conference as you go. If we see or hear youth collaboration or conversations about engaging and celebrating young people in real time, you just might get lucky and be gifted with a ribbon. And do I have the ribbon on stage with me? Nope, I don't. I forgot it, to be fully transparent. So I'm sorry about that, but it is an awesome blue ribbon, and trust me, you want one, okay? So collaborate is the key word here. Yes, so if you are able to get one of the badges, we would love for you to even, you can stick it on your current name tag, or even take it back to your community and stick it somewhere visible. Because while this is a gesture, a very small but kind gesture, it is also a mighty one. Mighty in the reminder that when time gets hard, because we all know they will, and what and our why and what we do and why we do this for. And in difficult times, how we get to the results that may need. Okay. How we get to the results that may need eyes and ears, or just some good old youth collaboration with some fresh perspective. So we want to bring you, our audience, into the conversation too, because that's important. So we're going to launch 3 quick interactive polls. You can participate in by scanning the QR code on the screen, or by entering the website directly into your browser and the hashtag numbers when prompted. Okay? So these questions are designed to help you reflect on what you just heard and how you can take action. All right, so poll number 1 is up there. And it reads, when youth and young adults seek support, what do you think they value most from programs? And as you're answering this question, and I'll give you some time to answer it, I want you to think about the stories we just heard. The power and consistency, trust, and connection. And think about that as you answer these questions. And I'll give us a couple of seconds to answer them. Wow. I love seeing the numbers move in real time. All right. All right. I'm gonna count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow. It looks like a stair step. Yeah. Wow. Wow, I love seeing these results, y'all. Okay, we're gonna roll into poll number 2. What do you think is the biggest barrier youth experience when trying to access support? Now, I want you to think and to consider the systems, the gaps, and the human moments the panelists named, and where your own programs might need to shift. This is a hard one to like really, ask yourself the hard questions. Woo. Uh-oh. We can get it back. We got a powerful team back there. All right. Well, while we are waiting for that poll, and maybe we don't have that poll, but we can go to poll number 3, potentially. Was there someone? But you know what? We're just gonna keep it rolling. Yeah. But it was a word cloud. Hey, see? There we got it back, y'all. All right. So this is question number 2. And think about and consider systems, the gaps, and the human moments that the panelists named. And those hard conversations with self, with our teams, where we might need to make that shift, y'all. Ooh. We are coming in hot with these stair step answers, but I'm loving it. I am. Wow. Okay. We'll count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Our final poll is a word cloud. And after hearing from the youth panel, what is one immediate thing you plan to do differently in your program? Come on with those words. This is where reflection becomes action. Even on a small shift can change a young person's entire trajectory. I am loving what I see. Connected, listen. Yes, clarification. And I can only really see the ones that's bright because I need some glasses. But I'm loving the collaboration and the things that is coming on the screen. So thank y'all for doing that. And as we close, I want to leave you with one simple truth that has echoed through every question today. Young people don't grow just because of programs. They grow because of people. The adults who made the biggest difference in my life weren't the ones who with the perfect plan. They were the ones who showed up consistently, who stayed when life got complicated, and who believed in my potential before I could see it myself. Now I'm going to invite Michaela back to the stage to share some closing remarks. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Regina. So today we talked about prevention, aftercare, mental health access, outreach, and what stability looks like. But underneath all that is something deeper, a commitment to relationships that don't disappear after the paperwork ends. Youth don't need to be handed off from one step to another, but we need to be carried forward through a circle of care that feels continuous and human. Everything that we shared today comes back to dignity, trust, listening, and just the overall idea that stability is not a checklist. Progression isn't linear, and a healthy outcome is not perfection. It's having the space to breathe, the support to grow, and the confidence that when life gets messy, because it sure does, that someone will check in instead of checking out. If there's one thing I want you to take back to your teams, your programs, and to your communities, it's this. Listen deeply. Believe youth, invite them as partners, not just participants. Foster environments where honesty is safe and where feedback is welcomed, and where relationships are the heart of work and not an extra or not sprinkled on top, as I said, and baked in. Because when young people feel seen, heard, and valued, like I said earlier, everything becomes possible. Thank you. Right. And with that energy, let's take it to day 2 and explore what's ahead for the rest of the day. So in a moment, we'll have time for break because it's very needed. I'm sweaty. Where you'll be you'll be invited to grab a snack and stop by the exhibit booths for half an hour. I need to be noted about the time. Our final block of workshops begins at 11, followed by our lunch break. Yes, nourish your bodies. Then we will end our day together back in this room, 2:30 for the grantee meeting. You can find all of this in your handy dandy CVN app that if I was if you see me at the info desk telling you to download the app. So you can also scan the QR code on your table or on the screen to download this app if you haven't already. And then, like I was saying earlier, as a public health girly, we love our data. We would like you to take a moment to evaluate the session. Your feedback is incredibly important to us. It helps us understand what went well, what didn't go well, and where we can improve. And most importantly, how we can continue to create a valuable experience for you in the future. So please take a moment to do the evaluation. Thank you and see you later. Thanks.